The final BBI report is out and it proposes far-reaching constitutional changes. But what exactly is contained in the report? Tonight, we expose you to its recommendations, particularly those with great ramifications on the country's political leadership structure. But away from BBI, the health crisis brought about by COVID-19 still poses a great threat to Kenyans, as 16 more people succumbed to the virus in the last 24 hours. Good evening. This is Channel 1 News Hour. For now, let's take a look at the highlights.
This document is not about this individual's presidency and that individual's prime ministership, that individual's this. No. This is about all of us.
The stage is set for constitutional amendments as the contents of the Building Bridges Initiative report are made public. The return of a prime minister in the offing in an expanded executive and his two deputies. Tononoka and Star of the C secondary schools in Mombasa shut down following coronavirus infections. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Jacky, Wambiru, and our sign language interpreter this evening is Byron Abuli. Remember, you can interact with us on our Twitter handle at KBC Channel 1 or at Jacky Wambiru. Now, to kick us off, the contents of the Building Bridges to a United Kenya report have been made public, paving way for a public discourse on proposed changes to the Constitution. Now, the 204-page document was presented to President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga at State Lodge in Kisii. The duo called for a sober debate devoid of insults and divisive politics. The contents of the report will be discussed at the stakeholders meeting on Monday at the Bomas of Kenya. Our reporter Yusuf Farah has details of the launch of the report.
President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga were in Kisii County to receive the report of the Building Bridges Initiative to a United Kenya task force.
Kabidhiwa Mheshimiwa Rais, tumpongeze anapoipokea. Asante. Asante. Nitaomba vile vile Mheshimiwa aliyekuwa Waziri Mkuu Raila Odinga apokee hiyo ripoti. Makofi. Asante. Asante. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hiyo ndio ripoti ambayo itatupa mwongozo na mwelekeo kama taifa.
They returned to the county where the BBI consultative forums were birthed. The task force handed over the document in which they also drafted 12 bills that require to be formulated and amended to implement the report. The report proposing constitutional, administrative, policy and legislative changes. President Kenyatta, in receiving the document, urged Kenyans to read the report, even as he cautioned against politicizing the proposed changes.
This document is not about this individual's presidency and that individual's prime ministership, that individual's this. No. This is about all of us. What we are looking for is a document for posterity.
At the same time, he maintained the report is aimed at uniting the country, calling for sober discussion that add value.
Wakenya watakuwa na huo uhuru, wakijua ya kwamba hata awe amechaguliwa nani, hakuna mtu ambaye atakuwa na uwezo wa kukunyang'anya haki yako, wa kukunyang'anya pesa yako, wa kukunyang'anya shamba yako, ya kukunyang'anya haki yako ya kupata kazi. Wewe utakuwa umepiga kura tu, mtu yako akishinda, haleluya. Akishindwa unasema basi.
The president also pointed out that the report will be discussed publicly with the aim of building consensus. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga joining the president in congratulating the BBI steering committee, saying the document is key to the prosperity, stability and unity of Kenyans. Odinga pointing out his regret that some national leaders were opposed to the reports even before reading it. He dismissed claims that the BBI was a process aimed at creating leadership positions, saying that it was pure propaganda meant to hoodwink Kenyans.
Mbeleni kumekuwa na porojo ati ni kuongeza tu kazi kwa watu wachache. Hapana. Sasa nyoka imetoka pangoni. Wakenya wasome, wajue ukweli uko wapi na wangu uko wapi.
The opposition leader expressed optimism that the country will be able to strike a national consensus on the BBI process. A national stakeholders meeting is set to be held on Monday at the Bomas of Kenya. Yusuf Farah, Channel 1 News.
The Building Bridges Initiative report presented to President Kenyatta Tuesday seeks to expand the executive by reintroducing the office of the Prime Minister and 2 deputies. To help election losers, the report is proving a soft landing for the person who comes second in the president contest, with 25% of the vote cast to be nominated to Parliament and appointed a leader of the opposition in the House. The Prime Minister will, however, be an appointee of the president.
For gender parity in the state or county.
The Building Bridges Initiative report seeks to amend Chapter 9 of the Constitution by expanding the national executive to include the position of a Prime Minister and 2 deputies. According to the proposal, the Prime Minister shall be appointed by the President and shall, among others, be the leader of government business in the National Assembly, oversee the legislative agenda in the National Assembly on behalf of the government, supervise the execution of the functions of ministers and government departments, and also chair cabinet committee meetings. The Prime Minister, however, seems to have less powers, as he or she can lose the seat upon dismissal by the President, upon rendering a written resignation to the President, or if he or she gets a vote of no confidence from the National Assembly. The Deputy Prime Minister, on the other hand, shall also be appointed by the President from among the Cabinet Ministers and will be tasked with deputizing the Prime Minister, aside from performing their ministerial duties, but without earning any extra penny, cognizant of Article 77(1) of the Constitution. Proponents of the Building Bridges Initiative argue that this is what will fix the challenges presented by the winner takes it all electoral formula.
And what this document seeks to do is to bring us together and find out how we can protect that common territory called Kenya. Not for an individual, not for a community, not for the rich against the poor, or the poor against the rich.
The committee in the report states that it confirmed the widely held view that divisive elections emerge because of the cutthroat competition for the presidency and the other elective political seats, rather than retain the current presidential system. The report further stated that a majority of Kenyans supported the adoption of a hybrid between the presidential and parliamentary systems. For Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Aching Ouma.
And now, moving on, the position of county women representative is set to be scrapped if Kenyans adopt the proposals of the Building Bridges report. Now, the report presented to President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga Wednesday also recommends each county to be electing a male and a female senator, making a Senate of 94 members. Kevin Washira with more details.
The Building Bridges Initiative report has proposed a raft of changes in the legislature aimed at enhancing inclusivity and gender parity while not adding extra cost to the taxpayer. If the BBI is adopted, the 47 positions of county woman representative and 12 nominated members of National Assembly will be scrapped and replaced with 47 elected women senators in the Senate. A member of National Assembly will be eligible to be appointed Prime Minister if he belongs to the majority party. Further, the report proposes reintroduction of the position of Leader of Opposition in the National Assembly. The Leader of Opposition shall be the person who receives second greatest number of votes in the presidential election and whose political party has more than 25% of all members of National Assembly. Cabinet ministers will also sit in National Assembly. To enhance service delivery at the judiciary, the BBI report seeks establishment of Office of Judiciary Ombudsman, who will be reporting on conduct of judicial officers to the Judicial Service Commission. The report also seeks to compel judiciary to dispense speedily with corruption-related cases. The report further seeks to amend the Health Act to establish the Health Services Commission. The Commission shall make recommendations to the national government on national policies for management of healthcare workers, monitor implementation of national policies for management of healthcare workers by county governments, and recommend appropriate action. It further seeks to bring to bear the County Wards Development Fund 2020, which will provide a legal framework for the operationalization of Ward Development Fund, intended to be introduced through an amendment to the Constitution. The report is also proposing the Elections Laws Amendment Bill 2020 to amend various elections-related laws to deliver an electoral system that is transparent, accountable, and democratic, and promotes the will of the people. The bill contains amendments to the following statutes: the Elections Act 2011, which limits registration of voters at least 120 days to the election to afford adequate time for IEBC to audit the register; the Political Parties Act 2011, which obligates every political party to establish internal disputes resolution committee; the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission 2011, which obligates the Commission to publish information relating to electoral processes; the Election Campaign Financing Act 2013, and the Elections Offences Act 2016 that prohibits harassments during campaigns. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
And away from that, the Building Bridges Initiative Steering Committee wants the fight against corruption intensified by strengthening the relevant institutions. The BBI report seeks amendments to Chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership and integrity to provide a mechanism to expedite investigations, prosecution and trial of economic crimes. It also wants state officers barred from doing business with public entities.
Came and submitted to us right here in Nairobi.
In the boldest yet attempt to slay the corruption dragon that has ravaged the country, the Building Bridges Initiative report proposes several legislative amendments, key being amending Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act to hasten the procedure of hearing and sentencing in economic crime and corruption matters while enhancing penalties for the same. The report also seeks to bar a public officer from trading with a public entity. They will also not solicit donations or make cash donations to charity in excess of 50,000 shillings unless they do so electronically. It will also be a crime to conceal corruption. Besides graft, the BBI report also focused on Chapter 2 of the Constitution on formative aspects of the Republic to foster regional integration, cohesion, shared prosperity and centrality of the economy. This is aimed at harnessing regional trade, investment and people-to-people links to increase our prosperity, opportunities for investment and enhance our security. Citizens will also be tasked with certain socio-economic duties to strengthen national ethos. The privacy of citizen data will also be underpinned in the Constitution. Personal data is an emerging area in human rights owing to significant technological developments in this area. An effective public participation framework will also be provided for as envisioned in the Constitution in both levels of government. That includes the introduction of the Registrar of the Public Participation Registry under the Office of the Attorney General. Well, some of the issues that have been highlighted on the BBI report that have stood out is the COVID-19 pandemic that has immensely affected the country and livelihoods of people, increased unemployment. The BBI task force recommends that there is need to improve healthcare provision. Now, moving on, they also highlighted that there was need for competence. So government institutions must be run competently, as well as public sectors should build systems to embrace merits and ensure inclusivity. Moving on, at the same time, equity and equality has been highlighted. The task force recommends that Kenyans must balance between equity and equality. There is need for marginalized and underserved needs for those people. Then there is need for them to be met. Now, moving on, equal opportunity. There is need to minimize barriers to opportunities caused by discrimination. The last one being peace and stability are prerequisite for a successful Kenya. Now, moving on, Deputy President William Ruto is urging leaders to engage in decent conversation devoid of blackmail in the Building Bridges Initiative report so as not to polarize the country. Ruto said the leaders be ready to respect and accommodate divergent views and unite Kenya while as they see through the report for it to be a success. Speaking during the funeral service of the late Peter Chomba, who was MCA Huruma Ward, Uasin Gishu County, he called for decent debate that cannot divide Kenyans. But leaders who had accompanied him were of different opinions, saying the country was facing a myriad of challenges and BBI is not one of them.
This constitutional consensus that we are trying to build as a nation, it must be devoid of the reggae bravado that is divisive and that has the potential to create winners and losers, has the potential to create us versus them. We must avoid. And if we are genuine about having a national constitutional consensus, we must start with this discussion. It must be devoid of bravado, it must be devoid of division, and it must not create an us versus them, winners and losers. Let us start there.
Ni tukae chini tukiwa kaunti yetu tusome tuone ile mambo ambayo tulisema iko kwa report ama haikuwekwa. Na tukimaliza kusoma na tuchambue, tutakaa chini na watu wetu tuseme kama hii report iko sawa tupitishe. Kama iko sawa hatutapitisha.
We want to discuss constitutional change vis-a-vis our economic situation at the moment. Hatuwezi kusema tunataka kubadilisha katiba na hali uchumi yetu haiwezi kuturuhusu kufanya hiyo mabadiliko.
That we need to have a robust national conversation on this BBI. It cannot be one way or the highway. We must all speak to one another. And it must be from the leadership to the people down here.
Hii BBI tungoje ikuje kwa meza, tutaiangalia, kila mtu asome, alafu sasa tutaamua. Na hii BBI kama itakuja vile mimi nafikiria, ya excellency, hata kama wewe utaenda ufike mahali ukubaliana nao kuunga, mimi nitaongoza na campaign. Lazima Kenya hii tutafute watu wenye wanataka kufanyia watu wadogo kazi.
Sasa inakuja, tutaisoma. Tukiona ni mzuri ni sawa. Tukiona haitoshi msijali. Kama kuna vipengele katika ile BBI ambayo ni mzuri, niko tayari kama mbunge kupitisha hata bila kuongeza koma yoyote hapa. Na mambo ya kusema kwamba wapende wasipende, hiyo isitumike.
But I hope that we shall have inclusive discussion on BBI so that the place of women can be found in that BBI.
Still on the same, leaders across the country have given divergent views on the much-awaited Building Bridges Initiative report that was received by President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga. Now, many have emphasized the need to have Kenyans' needs addressed by the report that will formally be launched on Monday. Here are some of the views from some of the leaders.
Tunataka watu wahusishwe, vyama vihusishwe, viongozi wahusishwe. Kama tunachukuliwa tuko on the side, tutafuata tu hivi watu wa Matu watasema no, Machakos watasema no, sisi wote tutasema no. Lazima sisi viongozi pia sisi wote tuhusishwe, sio wachache tu wanatuchukulia tu kijuujuu.
We as the leaders, the people of Meru, will not support the BBI report blindly. We shall read it in detail and make an informed decision as to whether or not to fully support its contents. So we are not emotional about it. We want to be very cold and calculating.
Allocation to counties increases from 15 to 35, which is a plus for counties. But you know, in this country, it is now politics that comes in. Politics. We should think out of our tribe. This is now a benefit that is coming to counties. But by just having 25% coming to counties, and if it's a reality, this will make a big difference.
Moving on, the Building Bridges Initiative report released Wednesday has its roots in the historic 9th of March 2018 handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga at the steps of Harambee House. The two gentlemen's gesture diffused political tension that had engulfed the country, heightened by Raila's inauguration as the people's president to dispute the declaration of Uhuru's victory in the repeat presidential election. Our reporter Caroline Kamau retraces the bumpy ride of the release of the BBI report.
The dispute that arose over the results of the 2017 general elections occasioned a repeat of the presidential poll that opposition leader Raila Odinga boycotted. When Uhuru Kenyatta was announced the winner in the repeat election, Raila upped the ante with his inauguration as the people's president.
I, Raila Amolo Odinga, in full realization of the high calling, assumed the office of the people's president of the Republic of Kenya. So help me God.
This set the stage for unprecedented civil disobedience and badly dented the country's social, political and economic spheres. This unattainable situation saw Uhuru and Raila put the interests of the nation ahead of theirs and seek to bridge the political divide, hence the birth of the Building Bridges Initiative.
Taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda.
A presidential task force including politicians, lawyers, academicians, religious leaders, among others, concretized 9 issues that often set Kenyans upon each other every election cycle. These are corruption, lack of national ethos, divisive politics, devolution, safety and security, responsibilities and rights, inclusivity, shared prosperity and ethnic antagonism, and competition. The Yusuf Haji-led BBI team then set out on a countrywide tour to get submissions from Kenyans from all walks of life on their vision for a better Kenya.
Individual government agencies should be free to make their own decisions rather than be under the direction of a central agency that may be prone to political manipulation.
Here, business leaders, union leaders, the youth, political class filed the submissions to the Yusuf Haji-led team.
County assemblies are the ones who are mandated to oversight the county executive, but at times in most of our counties it doesn't really seem to be working quite as envisaged.
Unless you ring fence the fund, governors have found a way very cleverly to make and mischievously to make sure that those ward representatives are not elected.
If we really want, and it is our submission also that we need to remove from our heads the discussion of the institution of the Senate from the people who are sitting there at the moment. including ourselves, so that then objectively, because in the past when we have had disagreements with National Assembly, county assemblies, governors and so forth, those disagreements have clouded the minds of many people to think that it's just about today.
But the initiative took a different twist in the political arena with camps for those for and against the Building Bridges initiative.
Nataka mkumbuke kulikuwa na kitu kinaitwa punguza mzigo. Wakasema wataanzisha Mount Kenya ipite. Kwa sababu tulikuwa tunajua tuko na BBI. Tukisema ingoje hakuna county hata moja ambayo ilipitisha. Tukasema sisi tunangojea BBI, hatutapiga makelele sana, hatutaenda kwa runinga sana, lakini tunaungana na Mheshimiwa Rais na Raila Amolo Odinga kwa sababu tunajua BBI ndio inaunganisha Wakenya.
Sasa hivi tunaambiwa tusome. Nyosheni mikono, ni wangapi wameona hiyo ripoti? Munasoma nini saa hizi? Kwa hivyo hii kuzungushana, mtuambie munataka nini?
But it was in the ruling Jubilee coalition that the BBI wedge ran deep between the Tanga and Kieleweke camps that culminated in a clamp on political rallies.
Sisi hatuna haja na tsunami. Wewe kama ni mtu ya tsunami, sisi tumeambiwa na rais tunangoja tusome. Rais hajatuambia tungoje tsunami. Ama ni aje? Si hiyo. Si tutasoma. Kama iko maneno yetu ndani, si tutapitisha. Kama iko kombo, si tutanyorosha.
This did not help cool political temperatures as aspersions were cast on the BBI report, with its antagonists questioning the delay in releasing it.
All those regions.
As such, the presentation of the BBI report to Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga etches another milestone in the country's history.
And what this document seeks to do is to bring us together and find out how we can protect that common territory called Kenya. Not for an individual, not for a community, not for the rich against the poor or the poor against the rich, but how can we as a society called Kenya build a society that is inclusive, that is equitable, that creates opportunities for all.
The BBI team has consolidated the report into 12 legislative proposals that will be presented to Parliament. Kenyans now await its official launch on Monday with high expectations on how their lives will improve. Caroline Kamau reporting for Channel 1 News Hour.
That report by Caroline Kamau brings us to our first break here on Channel 1 News. Don't go too far. We'll be right back.
Next episode of Corner.
What you told Wanjala.
Everything I do is in this family's best interest. If this is what it takes Wanjala to see that, so be it.
And Dad disowned me. It doesn't matter what he thought. A family is meant to stick together. This one doesn't.
Do you have anything to do with King Otieno coming back into town?
Who?
King Otieno.
Never get too comfortable with people being around. Kurus, Wanjala. He's off looking for his father again.
On the next episode.
A lot has been said about the National Youth Service. Granted. But President Uhuru Kenyatta's quest for this institution to be a center that nurtures the youth of this country to serve their nation remains grounded.
The president told us clearly there will never be an NYS3.
Giving opportunity.
Ninashukuru Mungu, without NYS nisingekuwa ninajua kufanya hizi vitu zenye mnaziona mbele yenu.
Leaving a positive mark.
Yeah, I've been taught to do everything in a garment.
Watch it on Thursday at 8:30 p.m.
this weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Yes, teacher. Farah, go ahead. What are you talking about? Yes, what are you talking about? No, what are you talking about? And that is what you want to know. Of course, that is what I don't know. Mr. Teacher, I would never do that unless you put me to the war. Sukasa es mi casa.
Are you kidding me?
Why would my mother be dropping Farah and yet she's no longer living in our house?
You know, that day he was acting Ambiti Kenji. I couldn't remember this woman. Kumbe she is your mother.
Mr. Teacher, I think you will have to excuse me. I will be back in 1 minute. I will be back.
Welcome back. Now moving on to secondary schools in Mombasa County have been temporarily shut down after teachers and students tested positive for coronavirus. Tononoka Secondary School closed its doors last week, while Star of the Sea Secondary School was closed for 2 weeks to allow for fumigation exercise. This comes as grade 4 learners and class 8 pupils countrywide begin a 3-day assessment to find gaps that need to be addressed following the closure of schools for 7 months. Junai Carissa with more details.
This was the situation at the Star of the Sea Secondary School in Mombasa. The institution remained deserted following a memo shutting the institution for 2 weeks to allow for a fumigation exercise. The fumigation exercise was yet to commence when we visited the institution, with its gates remaining shut to the public.
It is indeed true that we have some cases of corona in those 2 schools. And I want to believe that at the end of that exercise, the 2 key departments, Ministry of Health and Education, will issue a comprehensive statement.
11 teachers are suspected to have contracted the COVID-19 virus last week and are currently in self-quarantine awaiting results.
I want to urge that we should not spread rumors. These are normally the protocols which are followed if there are problems in any institutions or in any offices.
The situation was replicated at Tononoka Secondary School. 4 teachers are reported to have contracted the virus. Mombasa County Commissioner says the situation is a result of the upsurge of infections across Mombasa County, blaming it on laxity in adhering to the mandatory health protocols.
Wengi wamerudi katika ile maisha ya kawaida, maisha ambayo ni ile ya kutotumia barakoa, ya kujumuika watu wengi na kutofuata yale maagizo ambayo yametolewa, aidha katika sehemu za burudani, katika mabasi na katika sehemu zingine. All our major hospitals, their ICU units are full. There is no space now.
Meanwhile, Class 8 and Grade 4 pupils countrywide kicked off a 3-day assessment exam. The assessment is geared towards identifying gaps following school closure. In Mombasa, COVID-19 health protocols were observed as the Class 8 pupils started with the mathematics paper, while Grade 4 learners sat for their English paper. At Ndimakanini Academy in Nyeri County, the school director Lincoln Njogu says despite the children having taken a break from school, the institution had prepared them well for the task.
The exam was sudden, but during that period of 7 months, we have been preparing our pupils, and we are certain that they are going to do well.
At Mundere Special School, Grade 4 learners also sat their exams, with the head teacher calling for better infrastructure to ensure they maintain social distancing.
Wengi huwa wanashindwa kulipia watoto boda kuwaleta. Sasa na sisi shule yetu bado ni changa, hatuna gari, hata madarasa pia hatuna ya kutosha. Watoto hata kama saa hii ile ni COVID-19 inataka wawe spaced, ni ngumu.
Unlike traditional national exams, which are monitored by the exam body, senior education officials and security personnel, the exam is being monitored by teachers. Juni Karisambele from Mombasa County for Channel 1 News Hour.
And staying on emerging issues courtesy of COVID-19, 16 people have died in the last 24 hours from COVID-19, while the number of patients in the intensive care unit dropped to 27, with those requiring supplementary oxygen holding at 41. Now, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union has also expressed concern on the high number of medics who have contracted the virus in the month of October. 497 new coronavirus cases have been reported from a sample of 4,888. Our reporter Beatrice Gitunya with details of the worrying trend.
It would appear the country is on its way to registering a second wave of COVID-19 infections, with the latest data from the ministry painting a grim picture on the status of COVID-19 patients. In the latest figures, the death toll surpassed 850 after 16 people succumbed to the virus, bringing the total number of fatalities to 858. The number of patients on life support in the intensive care unit dropped to 27 from 43 reported on Tuesday. The number of patients using supplementary oxygen held at 41, as was the case on Tuesday. The country is also reporting an increase in new infections, stating at 497 people. Of this number, 471 are Kenyans and 26 are foreigners. 295 are males and 202 are females. The youngest is a 1-year-old child, while the oldest is 88 years. The country has so far tested 632,669 people. Those currently admitted in various health facilities are 1,189, and 2,661 are on home-based care. Nairobi recorded the highest number of cases at 277, while Narok, Homa Bay and Kakamega recorded 1 case each. The ministry said 238 people have recovered from the disease, 170 from home-based care program, while 68 have been discharged from various hospitals, bringing total number of recoveries to 32,760. Meanwhile, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union are decrying the high number of medics who have contracted the virus this month. KMPDU is demanding the government and health providers to provide good quality PPEs to protect medics from contracting the virus.
Healthcare workers are being forced to continue working even when they have contracted COVID-19. This trend must stop. Healthcare workers are not robots. They're human beings. They equally deserve care.
Separately, services at Isiolo County Teaching and Referral Hospital were paralyzed for the better part of the day. Medics at the facility staged protest as they mourned the death of one of their nurses who died last night over lack of ICU equipment. She is reported to have developed breathing complications while on duty.
We lost our staff yesterday because of delayed transport, and that is very, very painful. Aware that some people have not been paid for 8 months. The permanent workers have not been paid for almost 4 months. So we want that to be paid immediately.
In other news, Water Cabinet Secretary Cecily Kariuki has called on the need to fast-track the completion of several government projects still pending across the country. Speaking at the Kenya Institute of Water when she met heads of departments in her ministry, the CS said that over 90% of government projects which had already been fully paid for are yet to be completed. She urged the contractors to race against time and ensure that the projects are completed by 2022.
I can stand here and confirm over 90% of the projects which you are implementing with us have not kept in sync with the timelines. One even made me smile at COVID, and I smiled because when you tell me that the people out there, you are completely not well mobilized. On a location where you should be having 100+ workers, you have 20, and I say, why? How do you expect to move? We have invested in projects. Which projects have been delayed, sometimes even to doubling the timelines to deliver a project. And number 3, there has been no value for money realized by the user who is waiting for the project to be completed.
Let's talk business, where the distribution of cash to financial institutions in Western and Nyanza region is expected to improve following the opening of a currency center in Kisii town. The center will serve the 7 counties of Kisii, Nyamira, Migori, Bomet, Homa Bay, and parts of Narok and Kericho. The 7 counties have a population of over 7 million people, contributing about 12% of Kenya's annual wealth.
The opening of Kisii Currency Center is expected to minimize theft of cash in transit in the region, but also reduce transport cost for banks in the area, which relies on the Kisumu branch to supply them with currency. The new unit will become the 4th currency center after Nyeri, Nakuru and Meru, on top of CBK main branches in Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu and Eldoret.
It will support seven counties in the region. And this is something that we will obviously push in terms of the economic growth that we need to see in the region.
Central Bank Governor Patrick Njoroge has said the currency center, which is one of the most modern in the country, would support economic growth in the counties through the provision of services to residents, county government and commercial banks. The facility will also have other benefits, such as issuing clean notes to customers and improving the quality of currency in circulation in the region.
Going forward, it will be much easier for government institutions, including county governments, but also for our banks, to be able to operate in a much smoother, much more economical manner as a result of the work that the central bank has done here.
CBK collaborated with the commercial banks through the Kenya Bankers Association to establish the currency center. O'Brien Kiman for Business, News Hour.
Kenya's effort in achieving universal health coverage received a major boost after the signing of a framework that will see Kenyans in rural areas benefit from affordable automated healthcare through smart grid solutions. The Rural Private Hospitals Association and Smart Applications International have signed an MOU that will mutually establish, operate and manage existing corporate schemes in rural hospitals, thereby allowing for digital access for health.
The Universal Health Coverage Initiative was launched in Kenya on December 12, 2018, when President Uhuru Kenyatta declared it to be a national priority as part of his Big Four agenda for sustainable national development. However, since then, various challenges have hampered the speedy rollout of the project, especially in rural areas.
Bringing these hospitals together and partnering with the health technology organizations like SMART, we are going to play a very essential role in enabling the realization of the universal health coverage.
Speaking during the signing of a Rural Smart Health Access Operating Framework, stakeholders agree that UHC cannot be achieved without the adoption of technology through a smart hospital management system in rural hospitals where a majority of Kenyans reside.
The bigger picture is essentially the advantages that these hospitals will be able to access these solutions at about a third of the costs that they would have otherwise accessed these solutions from international providers. And therefore we are empowering the local healthcare facilities through Kenyan solutions.
We recognize as an association the need for the Kenyan people to actually access healthcare where they are, closest to them. One of the biggest challenges we have with access to healthcare in Kenya is not even geography. It is how it is in terms of the facilities themselves.
In the newly signed framework, Smart Applications International and Rural Private Hospitals Association will engage all private and national insurances for adoption and use of both parties for member access to healthcare services and claims management.
We are convinced that this is the right direction to go. We simplify the processes, we deepen access. So as an association, we see the uptake of this solution happening really rapidly.
Currently, 43 counties have so far participated in the government's call under the second round of universal health coverage as the country seeks to make more strategic investments in health to ensure that all citizens can access essential health services they require by 2022. Alana Oko, Channel 1 Business.
Moving on, the government has disbursed 500 million shillings to 18 companies to provide standalone solar systems and clean cooking solutions to households in 14 counties. The systems to be rolled out under the Kenya Off-Grid Solar Access Project will consist of at least 2 fixed lamps, a portable lamp, radio and mobile phone charging stations, among other features.
The government plans to achieve universal access to electricity in 2 years' time and clean cooking by the year 2028. To help in achieving this goal, 300 million shillings has been extended to 10 suppliers of standalone solar systems to supply and install about 165,000 solar home systems in the 14 counties involved in the KOSA project. The project aims to supply solar-powered kits to 1.3 million homes in the counties of West Pokot, Turkana, Isiolo, Marsabit, Wajir, Garissa, Samburu, Tana River, Lamu, Taita Taveta, Narok, Kilifi and Kwale. Another batch of 200 million shillings has been disbursed to afford renewable energy, solar integrated appliances, Raj Ushanga House, among other companies, to supply solar-powered cookers to 5 counties of West Pokot, Turkana, Marsabit, Samburu and Isiolo. The KOSAP project is being implemented by the Ministry of Energy through the Kenya Power and Lighting Company and the Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation. KOSAP aims to provide access to electricity to 1.3 million households in remote villages in 14 counties in Kenya.
The long-awaited completion of the proposed 40-metre-high and 15.6 million cubic metre Thiba Dam is now at 40%. The construction of the Thiba Dam is set to play a key role in supplying water to the Mwea irrigation scheme and benefit over 20,000 farmers.
This is the current state of construction. With the increase in the water supply to the Mwea irrigation scheme, farmers who have been accustomed to irrigating crops for one season every year will now be able to double their production and see a further 10,000 acres put under irrigation.
This scheme was originally within a gazetted area of 30,000 acres, but we have so far expanded by about 6,500 acres.
Currently, Mwea irrigation scheme is farming one single crop, one season per year, and this is not enough. There is more room for production.
In a bid to complete the Thiba Dam project, river diversions and an intake tower have so far been completed. Currently, the garroting of the foundation is ongoing. The water spillway is at 22%, while the excavation of the dam foundation is almost complete.
Sasa kampuni kama vile iko na machines hapa, faida yake ni ile imepata hizo materials hapa na imekaonelea wache jitengenezee hizo materials ndio ifanyie kazi.
The whole project has an expected completion date of December 2021. More equipment has been taken to increase workflow. The contractor has been working on 2 shifts, day and night, thus increasing the labor capacity in a bid to meet the strict timelines. In a bid to impart skills to the local communities, 90% of the workforce has been sourced locally. Alanauko, Channel 1 Business.
And in the sports world, a veteran tactician Jacob Gosmule has been appointed the new national soccer team Harambee Stars head coach on a 3-year contract. Mule, who last coached Kenya in 2004, takes over from Francis Kimanzi, who along with his assistant Zedekiah Zico Otieno exited their roles Tuesday.
The former Tusker FC tactician was officially unveiled Wednesday morning, making a return at the helm of the national football team. This will be Mule's 5th spell with Stars, having first taken charge of the team between 2003 and 2004, guiding them to the Africa Cup of Nations hosted in Tunis, Tunisia. The veteran coach takes over from Francis Kimanzi, who along with his assistant Zedekiah Zico Otieno left their roles Tuesday.
And our main aim is to work to find qualification for AFCON, and at least to move from the group, the initial group of the World Cup qualification, to the second-tier group for Qatar 2022. He's Kenyan, He knows Kenyan football. He has been there. He has done it.
I believe that with the team that I saw against Zambia, the team that has played the first two games, there is every possibility that we can be able to go back to the African Cup of Nations. And the long-term plan, of course, we talk about it, but at the moment, the focus is on the coming game against Comoro because that is what many of you call dead rubber.
His first assignment is to prepare Harambee Stars for their back-to-back 2021 AFCON qualifiers against Comoros. Mule is expected to name his backroom staff in the next 2 days. Karanja David for Channel 1 Sports.
Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko has called on national and county governments to honor sportsmen and women who brought fame to the country while still alive. Sonko said most athletes who represented the country in international events are living in abject poverty despite bringing glory to this country due to their excellent performances. Now, Sonko was speaking in Kayole while paying condolences to the family of the late former Harambee Starlets goalkeeper Rosemary Mara Oloch, who was Starlets goalkeeper trainer until earlier this month when he passed on while receiving treatment in a Nairobi hospital.
Kazi mzuri kama Mara mpaka kutuacha kwake, tunasikia alikuwa akitrain Harambee Starlets, wao ni pioneers wa women soccer in Eastern Central Africa, na baada ya kufanya kazi yote ngumu ya kishujaa, mtu akiaga dunia unawapata serikali inamsahau. Hii mambo going forward tutahakikisha tumenyorosha.
Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar says United's performance in the 2-1 Champions League win over Paris Saint-Germain was even better than the 2019 victory at the Parc des Princes. Now, meanwhile, Alvaro Morata scored twice as Andrea Pirlo's Juventus opened the Champions League campaign with victory at Dynamo Kiev.
Was Neves off his line when the kick was taken, and that's what they're talking about now. But he's off his line, you can quite clearly see that. It's the right decision, it has to be taken again. It's harsh on the goalkeeper, but that is the law.
Rashford had a straight run here 2 years ago and slotted it in. And he veers to his left, hop, skip and jump, and this time scores.
But the multiple French champions were far stronger and threatening in the second half and drew level when United striker elsewhere Alvaro Morata scored twice as Andre Pirlo's Juventus opened their Champions League campaign with a victory at Dynamo Kiev. And at St. Petersburg lost 2-1 to Club Brugge, Chelsea drew 0-0 against Sevilla, Lazio trounced Borussia Dortmund 3-1, while RB Leipzig trounced Istanbul Başakşehir 2-0.
Bayern Munich's manager Hansi Flick says it will be extremely difficult for them to repeat last season's fate as they begin the Champions League defense. Now the reigning champions face Atletico Madrid tonight in their first Group A encounter. For these and more, here is a look of the Champions League fixtures. Well, that brings us to the end of our bulletin tonight. Remember, adhere to the government's containment measures on COVID-19 so as to curb the spread of the virus. Well, up next is Yusuf Farah with the weather updates, and right after that is the rave. If you are a fan of reggae, well, this is the channel to be watching. My name is Jacky Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter this evening was Byron Abuli. Have a good night.
It's another one of those nights where rainfall is expected in the western, northwest, central and parts of the eastern region. Good evening, my name is Yusuf Farah. This is your Channel 1 weather updates now. 12 degrees Celsius makes Eldoret the coldest tonight. Tomorrow morning, Lodwar wakes up to sunny intervals. However, for Wajir residents, expect light rains with sunny intervals. The coastal region is going to be experiencing showers accompanied by sunny intervals. For residents of the capital city, expect sunny intervals to be there in the morning. In the afternoon, sunny intervals dominate most parts of the coastal region and the northeastern region. However, for residents of Kisumu, Kitale, Kericho and its environs, there will be showers accompanied by thunderstorms. Looking at the temperatures now, Mandera highs of 39, lows of 27, Garissa highs of 37, lows of 24, and here in Nairobi, highs of 26 and lows of 14. That wraps up the local weather forecast. I leave you with the international weather forecast. Remember, stay safe, wash your hands and maintain social distance. Have a good night.
Vera Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 22 7428 Thika branch, 0725 000-706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
Next episode of Corner.
What you told Wanjala.
Everything I do is in this family's best interest. If this is what it takes Wanjala to see that, so be it.
And Dad disowned me. It doesn't matter what he thought. A family is meant to stick together. This one doesn't.
Do you have anything to do with King Otieno coming back into town?
Who?
King Otieno.
Never get too comfortable with people being around. Koros, Wanjala. He's off looking for his father again.
On the next episode.
A lot has been said about the National Youth Service. Granted. But President Uhuru Kenyatta's quest for this institution to be a center that nurtures the youth of this country to serve their nation remains grounded.
The president told us clearly there will never be an NYS3.
Giving opportunity.
Ninashukuru Mungu, without NYS nisingekuwa ninajua kufanya hizi vitu zenye mnaziona mbele yenu.
Leaving a positive mark.
Yeah, I've been taught to do everything in a garment.
Watch it on Thursday at 8:30 p.m.
Next on.
musibatuka musibati wa farahatuka farahati.
Kunao ambao wanapenda kujidhalilisha ili wapate msaada ama kunufaika kwa njia ile ama nyingine.
Atakuwa ni mtu ambaye atatangaza kwa kila mtu, ijulikane na dunia mzima kwamba yeye kapatikana na mtihani. Unapokuwa na shida zako, ni vyema kuwa na haya, kutanguliza haya.
तो बस एक ही धुन है, अब तो बस
On the next episode of
Yaani pesa zote hizi zake. Ni maskini. Kasichana kakuja na loan, kakanela vile nene. Kakabeba kila kitu kakabakia. Nyumba hiyo. Nikulae chora kande mkambala ni. Nenda polisi ukashtaki na uende benki. Ukafungilie mbali hiyo ATM. Basi nielekezeni vizuri, wacheni hasira bwana. Hamjamboni.